Tennessee season came to a disappointing end yesterday with a 5-4 loss to VCU. Now, the next question is, what's next for Tennessee baseball? How does Josh Elander, this staff, what changes do they make? Where do they go from here? This is Frank House of Orange. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. Lots of opinions on it. I'll go ahead and say, first of all, I am confident in Josh Elander. I'm confident he'll get the job done. And let's put some things in perspective this offseason, because we got people out here wanting to fire everybody, start over. But let's think about the offseason. Let's think about the roster construction, how it was done. You look at it. Who constructed this roster? Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson. Who ended up coaching this roster? Josh Elander, Josh Reynolds, and this staff on it. Pretty chaotic offseason along the way. Were there some things this year they could have been better at? No doubt about it with it. But you look at it with the roster, Josh Elander right at the end of fall ball. Tony Vitello leaves to go to the Giants. Josh Elander then is put in as head coach. He goes out and hires Chuck Drolleman. And, a big loss it's not talked about is Q Eberhardt leaving to go with Tony Vitello. Transferred, transition to Keegan Knoll, who come in. So you had a difference there as well. And lots of change, man. Lots of change happened. And especially, it's one thing if it would have happened last year right after Arkansas put them out of the Supers, but it didn't. It happened at the end of fall ball. So, they had a little bit of time until it was go time when you rolled around into the first of the year on it. I thought this staff did a pretty good job this year. Again, are there things they could do better? Yes. I said it yesterday on the postgame. I only had a problem with one move this weekend that they made, and that was putting Frederick in the fifth inning. And Frederick Hendy, that should have been Nick Abraham or even Cam Appenzeller. I didn't have a problem how they used Appenzeller, but you went to guys that have not been reliable. So I had a problem with that one. But, looking at the coaching staff, I don't think you make any change. I think you give it another year. Elander's going to get multiple years. Don't get me wrong on that one. But here's the thing, people want to fire Josh Reynolds. Pitching overall was not the reason they did not win this weekend. It was hitting with it. Some dudes regressed, but the construction of the bullpen, you look back on it, they tried to diversify the bullpen. It did not work out. You did not have enough power arms coming out of that bullpen. Bottom line, Bo Rudy was it as far as right-handers. Of course, you had Appenzeller, not a power arm, and you had Arvidsson. And I think Arvidsson battled injuries all year long. Bullpen was just not there. And I'm telling you this with Braden Krenzel, too. I talked about it last summer. I talked about it in the offseason. Looking at his numbers in the Cape Cod last year, the walks, strikeouts were almost 1-to-1. So it's not like it just happened over time. I do think his confidence got shattered after that Georgia game, and you couldn't rely on him the rest of the year, unfortunately. That was a big arm that was being depended on. Brady Frederick, Mark Hendy were brought in to be depended on. None of them were dependable. That was three main options that just did not pan out. For two of them through the portal. That was bad portal evaluations. And again, but that goes back to Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson. They constructed the roster. How will Tennessee go different with that? And keep this in mind, Josh Reynolds was already on staff, brought in by Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson. Rumors every year is, could Frank Anderson retire? Be it. Josh Reynolds was moving up, whether it was Josh Elander or Tony Vitello. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I have heard good things about Josh Reynolds as well. I think you give him a full off season. Again, you look at Texas A&M last year with Michael Early. They didn't hit expectations, obviously. Didn't even make the tournament last year. You look where they're at this year. They're sitting 2-0 right now. Good chance they may be able to wrap it up and move on to the Supers today. Look at that for an example, the difference in year one to year two. Similar situation here with Tennessee. And you look at it too, you look at the upcoming MLB draft. You look at the last few years, how many guys from Tennessee's been drafted. You're not going to see a lot of them this year. Nothing like we've been seeing for the past 3 or 4 years by any means. Tegan Kuhn's first rounder. I fully believe that. Other than that, though, as far as your pitchers go, I don't know if Evan Blanco, maybe somebody drafts him late. I mean, he has no leverage, so it's a low signing bonus that, a team may take it late trying to stay under their, I'm going to say it's not cap. It's, you get what I'm saying on that, on their allotment, I guess it is. Looking out of the bullpen, Bo Rudy, I expect him to go in the first 5 rounds. He had a good season, had a heck of an outing against East Carolina on Friday. Definitely did enough to win that game for Tennessee. Other than that, out of the bullpen, I don't see anybody else getting drafted. I really don't. And, where do they build on that going? I'll talk about that in a minute as well. But then your offense, I mean, you're going to have Henry Ford will get drafted. I really feel Blake Grimmer gets drafted. Interesting to see what happens with Manny Marin. I think there's a possibility he does. I'd included Stone Lawless. Stone Lawless said yesterday he's coming back. So, that'll be a bat that I expect him to get better next year as well. I was happy to see him get his shot yesterday, hit the home run, got the sac fly. But, I mean, you look at it as well. I mean, Reese Chapman's gone. Reese Chapman had a great year. He penned a letter to Vol Nation. Really happy for him for the year he had. Total true Vol there. And I got to say it about Tegan Kuhn's too. Mention him. The guy put it all on for Tennessee. The dude is definitely a VFL. Sick as a dog yesterday. I mean, he braved through that 4th inning, got it. And, that just says a lot. I mean, the dude battled. He was a warrior for Tennessee this year. Cannot say enough good things about him and what he did as well. He'll definitely be missed next year. But then you look at it as well. Again, Henry Ford. I'm curious to see on Manny Marin. Blake Grimmer, I think, goes. Levi Clark will be back. Stone Lawless said he's back. Trent Grenlinger should be back. Chapman's gone. Abernathy. I would think Abernathy will be back and be a part of it. And then, we're Garrett Wright as well. I expect Garrett Wright probably somewhere around first 10 rounds that he goes as well. But you look at some of the roster construction, going back to the pitching. 4 arms did not make it that were being counted on out of the portal, too, whether it was portal or JUCO. You had Clay Edmondson from UNC Asheville, who was slated to come in. Much like Brady Frederick, I don't know how he would have translated, but I know he throws harder than Frederick. Matt Barr was coming in. He was a big-time arm, got drafted. Mason Estrada was another arm come in that was slated to come in, got drafted and didn't make it. And then Newman from Bowling Green was going to be a 2-way guy come in, ended up getting drafted by the Astros, didn't make it to campus. So that was 4 arms that was going to be a part of this that didn't make it to campus. A couple of your portal guys did not pan out in that regard. And then Braden Krenzel, of course, with what happened with him, didn't help matters either. So, the hand that was dealt was a little interesting. With your starting rotation was pretty good this year. Coons was really good. Blanco was solid. Landon Mack was pretty good for the most part until he got injured. So I'll be curious to see what happens with him in the offseason. I can't see him going to throw this summer. I don't know how serious it is or anything like that, if it just requires rest or what it is, but I'd be curious to see what you've got there. And, of course, coming back next year, now this is granted that you don't get any unexpected portal departures. I think for sure you got Appenzeller and Mack in the rotation. Who's the third guy? Does a freshman step up or what? Bullpen guys. I think out of your freshmen, Will Haas, Chandler Day, a guy I think would have helped was Jackson Estes, got hurt. Big-time arm there. If I'm a guy like Nick Abraham, I'm not happy with how the last 2 weeks have gone. I thought he should have started one of the games in Hoover, and there's no doubt about it. Since Appenzeller was going to come late yesterday, they should have went to Nick Abraham. You had him warming up and never used him. The fact that he didn't pitch in Hoover, nor did he pitch in Chapel Hill, I think that was a call that I don't agree with on it. I would have definitely relied on him. Now, I'm not saying he's Coons or Mack or anything like that, but he's a solid arm. and he's a guy that could have come in. And that one inning, those couple runs ended up being the difference in that game. Now, I'm not blaming it all on that. Obviously, they didn't hit. I mean, you go 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position all weekend, you're not going to win games that way. But I don't know. That was a questionable one. Other than that, your freshmen, I mean, you never know. You never know what guys are expecting or anything like that. But I think Haas, Chandler Day, Jackson Estes are 3 guys that definitely would play in a big factor. I don't know from there. I think Bioto's a guy that's got some big-time talent, but, what will he do? Look at your offense coming back. You got, again, Stone Lawless said he's coming back. Levi Clark, Jay Abernathy. I still think Blaine Brown's got a ton of potential. And, he only got benched 1 game, but I'm curious, does Blaine Brown want to pitch? Does he want to pitch more or not? And, will Tennessee let him pitch more possibly? I think that's an interesting thing to watch as well. But, other than that, who's guys, they've got a lot of guys who didn't play as much, I think could step up next year. I think the writing's on the wall of Chris Newstrom, and I think it's one Tennessee's going to regret. All right, I think Chris Newstrom's a heck of a ball player. We saw it in Texas. He played really well against top competition. And then, I don't know. It's a guy that just didn't get the opportunities that others did. And I think we'll regret it next year if he's gone somewhere else. And I think we'll see just how good of a ball player Chris Newstrom is. I would love to see him stick around, but I just can't see it. And that's one I don't want to lose. But based on his playing time and stuff, the guy's going to want to play. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Some of the other guys that were marginal players, did they explore their options after the season or what? I think a guy like Icefelder slots right in next year to the outfield. I think Blaine Brown back, Jay Abernathy. Could Abernathy play second or center? Some of these guys like that, Abernathy, Icefelder, Clark, Lawless, these guys that are healthy, I know I'm forgetting some off the top of my head, go to the Cape Cod League this summer and continue to improve. That'll be big for them there. Josh Elander did make a comment. They need to make adjustments. Said they're going to sit down, they're going to analyze it, they're going to make adjustments on it. What adjustments they make? Number one, bullpen. You got to go get power arms on it. It's not bad to have a little bit of diversity in that bullpen. Don't get me wrong on that, but they did not have enough power arms, and that's just not going to get the job done. Boo Rudy was basically it. You've got to go out, rebuild that bullpen, number one. You may have to add a starter. I'm curious to see what they do on that one. A lot of years they do add a starter, it seems like. You added Mac this year, Liam Doyle the year before. National championship year, I'm thinking they didn't add a starter. They added bullpen help that year. 2023, Andrew Lindsay. 22, Chase Dolander. You could look back and go on with that they've added in those regards. It's very possible they go out and add a starter this offseason. Bullpen's definitely got to be rebuilt. Josh Elander, Josh Reynolds will rebuild it their way this time. Again, they're not taking over on that. Lineup, I think, it depends on who comes back, who goes to the draft, who comes back. Nothing's ever a given on the draft. Could a guy decide to stay or something? Third base, I think, is probably a definite add. You think about it, each year Tennessee's pretty much added a power bat through the portal. This year it was Henry Ford. Last year, Andrew Fisher. Year before that, Billy Amick, Zane Denton. You can kind of go on. 2022 guys kind of progressed up. I'm not thinking anybody went in the lineup from the portal that year, but they've tried to add other guys who end up getting drafted along the way as well. You got to think they'll go in for a power bat this offseason, maybe a couple possibly. But, you've got, and how did I forget Trent Grinlinger? I think Trent Grinlinger is your best returning hitter. All guys are going to strike out some, but Grinlinger's at bats I thought were really solid. And, unfortunately, the ball he hit at the end, he hit a good ball. It just stayed up on him. Trent Grinlinger needs to be built around next year. He, again, to me, he's your best returning hitter based on who I think is coming back. So you've got some talent there. Now it's time to develop it. Again, I don't think coaching changes make any sense considering this staff didn't have a full offseason to work with these dudes. We can sit and talk about adjustments all day long. Bottom line, you got to be able to put the ball in play. That's the bottom line. Tennessee's average I saw for the year was 278. Their OBP was one of the lowest it's been. Only one time that out of the numerous times they had guys on third this weekend, one sack fly by Stone Lawless. Other than that, how many strikeouts did we have with less than 2 outs? You got to change that approach somewhat. Get the ball in play. Maybe bunt a little more small ball. They did try the one with Manny Marin. Reese Chapman had a good bunt, bunted a couple over. Maybe a little more small ball. Still more bases. I mean, we talk about Jay Abernathy's speed. He never steals. So you've got to look at that. You're going to have portal departures. Portal does open tomorrow. I venture to say you will have some guys in the portal tomorrow. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But there is a foundation in place. Add to it. You get your full off season with it. And, there are places they improve. The defense was much, much better this year. Significantly better than it was. Pitching your main guys were good. Other than that, you've got to build more depth there as well. But I think Tennessee baseball will be back. I think they'll be fine. Again, chaotic off season, not the finish that you wanted. But, there was a point in time where we were talking about would this team even make the tournament? And then they stepped up down the stretch and got it done. I think they'll be fine. I still think they've got a good coaching staff. Guys that are on this staff have been successful in other places. I feel they will here as well. But that's where we're at. Portal opens tomorrow. Keep you updated on, any comings, any goings there. I would imagine Tennessee will get visitors in probably this coming weekend or maybe through the week this week. So we'll talk about that along the way as well. But this is Frank. This is the House of Orange. I'll see you when I see you.